So this is very human centric, right? And so today, right, we're in that point in inflection of saying AI technology really being able to potentially replace where you may not need a person anymore. And then you have these higher level interactions where you still need that human touch, that human connection. And one of the pieces that's really important, there's not just the information, how to say it, when to say it, but to know that you should say it, there's a timing element, right? So it's not just being trained and having a visual. There has to be some connection towards in that moment if they don't know they should be saying that or they forgot, right? In that moment, in that interaction, there are things and tools on the marketplace today that say, hey, I can help you right now in that moment, next best step and other types of things like real-time guidance and so on and so forth. So where does procedure flow work either in parallel, in replacement of, or whatever, towards the dynamic of where things are going today, of how does let's stick with the human interaction side, where do you create that moment where procedure flow allows in that call, in that scenario, to have the best opportunity to be successful?
Yeah, 100%. So there's two things I want to talk about there. The first is I would like to debunk a myth, right? Which is I heard Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, when ChatGPT came out, he was on a podcast with Lex Friedman, and Lex Friedman asked him, he said, what's the first human industry that's going to be the most impacted by ChatGPT or whatever? And Sam Altman thinks about it for a second. He goes, customer service, call centers. And I laughed, like I was in my car listening and I just laughed. Like I was like, are you kidding me? Like my day in, day job is to document knowledge management for contact centers. And I talked about process volatility in terms of how nothing's pinned down, nothing's locked down. A lot of the times there's 6 different ways to do something and a single process hasn't even been decided on internally as an organization. And so you have all this complexity, you have all this stuff going on. And so like the reality of that is you have to say there's a percentage of very simple things that an organization should have as self-service through an app or a chatbot or voice bot or what have you. You go off and you do those things. You absolutely should, right? And then there's a bunch of complex stuff. There's things where customers have been wronged and they need apologies and they need refunds. They need the rules bent for them, or, like you have to repair a relationship because something went off the rails, or, you name it, right? They're calling in for 3 different things or very complex things, or they were, they misunderstood something, or the marketing wasn't correct or whatever. And so all of that type of work that's emotionally charged, sometimes is quite urgent. That stuff's going to be handled by a human. And so what you want to do, that's the first thing, is just to say, I'm sorry, Sam Altman, but it's not going to work quite like that just yet. The second thing to say is you want to chunk it into 3 buckets, right? The first is what can we self-serve? We talked about a little bit. Second is agent assist. And so it's what can the AI do to assist the human that's doing the work? I'll come back to that in a second. And the third is what kind of like little utilities and doodads can I build that will help the human, say, after the call? So like summarizing the notes, like listen to the audio, kind of look at what's happening on the screen, summarize the notes. That's awesome. Human doesn't want to do that, right? Or go back and read the history of this customer and give me a 4 bullet point summary of everything they've done with the company so that I'm aware of that without having to spend 20 minutes reading everything. Or generate an email for me based on everything that happened, and I'll double check it and we may send that off if it's good, or I may modify it, right? So kind of do things for me, I'll double check it, and that's really helpful and saves me a lot of time. So in those 2, the front bucket and the back bucket, we're really not trying to play in that space. What we're saying is there's a large percentage of calls that are being handled by a human. They need a lot of help. We're doing agent assist help with them. And so at the crux of this, you have this, you mentioned something about, can we pull things up in the moment for the agent? And I would reverse that. I would actually, or go a level higher and say, did you give the agent a playbook at all in the first place? Like, did you give them a structure of your known processes and say, when you get this kind of call, ask these probing questions and then go in this direction, use these systems, ask some more questions, and then when you run into these exceptions, do this. Did you put that playbook out in front of them? And if you didn't do that, well, now you're just doing guesswork. Now you're just, there's some imaginary checklist and, did you use empathy, or like kind of all of these silly things that aren't getting at the point of solving the customer's thing about, is the agent knowledgeable? Did they help me do the thing I'm actually trying to do? Did I have to call back later because the agent gave me the wrong information? Did I put on hold? Did I get transferred? Those are the things that we're trying to solve. And that's real-time performance support with a known process. It's not guesswork of, maybe based on your conversation, you should be doing this right now. Like that to me just feels a little bit silly.